Welcome to my Only One Outlier podcast show, where I'll be exploring the data science career tips with the industry experts who can share their experience and journey with us. I am your host Nirmal, from a new grad to an early career data scientist, from a data analyst to a data engineer, or anyone who wants to start or transition their career into data science. We will bring you all the do's and don'ts to help you guide in your data career path. All right, welcome everyone. I am very excited to introduce today's guest, Atena. She is highly accomplished data scientist with her extensive experience in data analysis, machine learning, and leading data-driven projects that can drive the business value, and which is more important, right? Currently, she's working as a senior manager in a data science team for Salesforce. She stands out her ability to manage and mentor the teams of data scientists and engineers while ensuring the successful execution of the projects, right? We will uncover her journey to data science and how she's playing a different role as an IC versus manager and many more, right? So I'm very thrilled and welcome Athena to myself.
Thank you very much, Nirmal, for giving me the time to be your guest today. I take this opportunity to make sure that everybody knows this is a very great opportunity to work with you as a person who actually built his career from ground up. And I'm really excited to be here to talk about my journey in data scientist role and the challenges we faced every day. Few comments that a lot of us as a data scientist should know and should be aware of, and making sure that those obstacles on our way don't get us scared and we don't lose our motivation to continue in a very bumpy road which we have ahead of us.
Yeah, that's a good way to start. Obviously, we will have a bumpy road, and I think we'll tackle some of that in our conversation when we
Yeah.
cover the challenges. But yeah, I will let you introduce a little bit more about yourself, So I just briefly did what I know about you, and I'm glad we have been connected on LinkedIn, and that's how I know about you. But my audience and myself wanted to know a little bit deeper about your journey in data science. How did
Yeah.
you shape your career? So if you can introduce yourself in a little bit deeper way.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting journey when everybody ask me. For me, it wasn't that straightforward when I wanted to get into the field. And I'm pretty sure, at least I think for a lot of other people, it's like that because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of us, when we started, the data science as a role hasn't been defined back then. It was all over the place. There was no clear career path. Companies didn't have it as a job title. Few big ones had it, but a lot of other
Mm-hmm.
companies had the traditional statistic
Mm-hmm.
division, which were running a lot of machine learning or a statistical models back then. I think I shared it with you that my journey in industry started when I moved to United States back in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
I started studying another degree, like a lot of other newcomers to United States. And then I realized that, I used to teach at university too, but then at some point I realized, I need to do something new.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting bored of being in academia. So I started manipulating the area, what's happening with my skill sets and who is doing what. So many avenues were in front of me. Bunch of them were in actuarial science, bunch of them in analytics, meaning that you would do a lot of reporting and dashboarding, and a lot of others were more technical. But getting to the technical was not an easy task as well because they would require a lot of background knowledge, software engineering knowledge, and skills, which I was lacking in some areas. So I started applying because I knew that 100% I don't want to stay in academia. So I
Mm-hmm.
started taking some courses with software engineering department while I was attending university, educated myself a little bit about what's happening in that area, and I got myself familiar with Python coding. I already knew MATLAB and C++, so it was I was a little bit ahead. Then at the same time, through application, I got two offers with JP Morgan. One of them
Mm-hmm.
was technical department, like trading technology. And I realized, okay, that position could give me the required information I need for my job. It was heavy on the data. The position I got into at JP, extremely heavy on the data, extremely heavy on the SQL, and you needed to be really, really good because in trading technology, you cannot make much mistake.
Yes.
Like 0.001% can like switch like millions of dollars.
Right.
So that got me like a lot of education, which I needed. And of course, the company like was at the beginning of the machine learning journey. With the help of my manager, because he knew I'm interested in the field and I want to expand my knowledge. He was looking at my work as well, so he was supportive enough to send my name as one of those people who could go through the program, the educational program for 9 months to gain extra skill and come back to JP Morgan and help a lot of like POCs, which was happening with the company back then. That put me in a very good path in order to continue my journey as a data scientist. Then a lot of POCs was happening at JP Morgan, like which I could get in and do some work with like colleagues who were like way ahead of me and learn a lot about the technology. That helped me a lot to get another job outside of JP Morgan, unfortunately, with Hearst Corporation, which I was senior data scientist over there and managed to prove the value of the data science projects and machine learning for the company, and we could scale the work. And I gained the confidence I needed. Then I continued my journey to the next level and next level and next level, and I'm here. I think the journey I started was like a thought process first, searching where can my skill set be useful to the industry, because I knew I want to pivot to industry. Then I looked at it as a puzzle, a step by step. I went to the next level and I built the puzzle, and I'm still building it, and I'm still working towards the next one. Yeah.
No, I think that is a beautiful story. We all are still working and building that blocks, right, in our career. So, and that's the beauty of like growth, right? We all have to be kind of hungry for growth. Interesting path from finance or fintech, and then moving along. I liked how, some companies give that opportunity to go and gain more knowledge or value and bring it back, right? So it was great. I think some people don't get that full time, like training or study opportunity, right? Like you have to either do parallelly with the work, and it's always challenging. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that's great. So let me touch a little bit upon. I mean, you have kind of like switched many labels on the career, as you mentioned. You keep growing, right? And coming to this point, what are some of the biggest challenges you faced? I mean, you can start from your immigration journey, like I myself had that similar path, and definitely not easy. People always see the brighter or shiny side, but
Yeah.
you can highlight some of the challenges that you faced and how you overcome it, right? So I think
Yeah.
that's also important.
That's a very good point that you brought it up. Definitely, if it's hard for people who were raised and born in this country, it's gonna be extra hard for
Right.
those who like are joining the in the midway. I remember that during one of my conversation with one of the MDs at JP Morgan, I told him that, my journey here in this country is like there is a highway, people are going with high speed, and I'm trying to merge to the traffic while I don't know like what are the best rules for merging to the traffic. And he was just looking at me and trying to make sense out of my words. But I would say that it wasn't easy. A lot of people see me at this point and they think that, well, she had it easy. It was pretty straightforward. But remembering my first days, I can tell you that, like, honestly, recruiters would call me. I was scared. I was scared. Do I understand what they are looking for?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if they ask this type of questions? How can I answer them? And then there was a bunch of other things like my resume, my other background. None of them were in United States. So I was a new entity. who was still studying at the graduate level in United States. Zero network. I didn't know anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Even I didn't have clear understanding on which industry would be a good fit for me.
Right.
Nothing. And it was super challenging to overcome with all of those. But all I had access to was University Career Center. So I thought that, okay, probably that's a good area to go in and gain knowledge. So I would go there, ask them to help me to rewrite my resume, write the right wording, and I would ask my friends to actually work with me on one-on-one to do a bunch of interview preparation, like how to answer questions. And Google is always your friend. So I was always
Right.
Googling questions, like preparing myself for different questions, different answers, like if there's a coder path, how can you overcome with coder path? And it was new to me. What is this coder? I had no idea. And so it was super challenging. But I would say that asking help from the right group of people definitely helped me a lot. So I remember when I wanted to get the job at JP Morgan, the career event at the university campus was not for graduate students. It was only for undergrad, and we
Mm-hmm.
were not allowed to go there. So I got there and I told them that I'm just here just to listen. That's it. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't say anything. They didn't check any kind of badge, but I was a university student. They didn't object that. So
Mm-hmm.
I went there and I was talking to a lot of people. One of them apparently was MD, and she realized that I'm interested in having a position, but I don't know which position do I want. So she shared my resume with the MD in New York City, and he accepted me right away. Like in 2 months, I had a job.
Mm-hmm.
So, from knowing nothing, zero information, I only got connected myself with something which I thought that logically makes sense to me and asked for help. And that's how I managed to get my first job. And a lot of other challenges, that was the beginning of the journey.
Right.
And then when I joined a highly technical team, everyone around me, full stack developers,
Yes.
full stack. And when they were talking, I was like, okay, this is alien language to me right now. So it was not easy. For the first 6 months, it was really scary to me because I had to prove the value. But my role was quite data driven, and all I needed to do was learning the databases, and
Mm-hmm.
that's all I did. I was like, okay, this is what I can do. I can read the SQL, I can find the data, I can connect them. I'm good. So I
Yeah.
was just trying to understand everything and try to find people within company who went through the same journey, who can actually answer a bunch of questions. For example, there's a syntax error. Hey, where can I find the answer? Do you think that I can go to a Stack Overflow, or do you think that you can help me answer this question? So I think that throughout my career, I learned to ask help when I need it in order to be able to move forward as a newcomer. And nowadays in my career, when I see a 100% new person joining fresh off the boat, fresh from
Mm-hmm.
the college, joining industry, I do understand them very well. Especially if they are immigrants, I understand what are the pain they are going through, and I
Right.
try to have a very good understanding about their feeling and make sure that I'm there for them, and I provide a safe environment for them. If they feel that they need help, they are getting lost, they know that there is a person they can reach out without being judged or anything. I can help. So I think that journey helped me a lot to have a better understanding of people and use my people skill a little bit more in order to make people's life a little bit easier. I'm not saying that it's not a challenge, it is, but I think overall I would say that all the challenges I went through is helping me to be a better person and at the end better manager.
Yeah. 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 Beautifully said. Thanks for sharing that. So I totally agree that even for me, like when I do a lot of these mentoring sessions, sit down with these folks and talk, some of them kind of resonate my previous version, right? So I was in that shoe. I feel the pain, And that's another reason that motivates us, like to mentor and give it back to community. And obviously things are a little bit better with ChatGPT and a lot of other additional information. They have extra resources on their fingertips than what we had, but still the journey, I mean, new challenges come along, right? So ways, and that helping nature, I think you really kind of got the right point, saying find help when you need it, right? So, and that's something in my early career I kind of hinder. I mean, I was thinking, am I gonna be asking someone for a favor and they're busy, or are they even gonna listen to me? So I made a lot of pre-assumptions on myself and never asked help when needed, right? And if I look back, I mean, I should have asked, right? In
Yeah.
many cases, I think they are willing to help. I mean, for the most part, in my career, I have many mentors, and every mentor has helped me to shape my career in different way, right? So
Yeah.
for help is definitely very key takeaway from this conversation we just had. So thanks for sharing that. Let me switch question a little bit. So you have worked as an individual contributor and manager now, right? So how do you see the change? Like what was the biggest change for your experience? Like, how you evaluate, what do you miss being AIC versus what you like being a manager, things like that. So
Yeah. Perfect question. A lot of time when we are moving up to the next level, the expectation from us is that to be a leader. But at the same time, when we have all these developer knowledge still carrying with us, and a lot of time we actually can pass a lot of let go basically, or
hmm
passing a lot of like responsibilities to others can happen easily. And like I think that's a challenge from IC into management level role, especially middle management. I think that it's a little bit harder because finding the right balance is extremely hard.
hmm
A lot of time, I think it's easier to be individual contributor because you just do the job, you finish it, you go home. But when you are a manager, like you have to evaluate the work, you have to see if you are on the track for like deliverables, and at the same time, you have upper level, which their like expectation need to be managed at the same time. And finding a right balance sometimes is just not happening because still as a senior manager or manager you have to get involved with a lot of like developer work or like a lot of like IC level work in order
hmm
to the project to move forward. I would say that it's a little bit hard, but I love one thing about management level role. Go upper, you realize that how a project is seen and
hmm
how the value of the project is being delivered and how at the enterprise level this project is contributing to the higher level. That keeps you motivated. But when you are at the IC level, you don't have any of those like visibility, so like a
right.
lot of questions that are coming from the top level, one might think that why are they even asking such a question, but in fact at the higher level, when it goes to the next and the next and the next, it might create values which we don't see that the IC.
Yes.
That's something which I really love about like being at the management level role. And I think that for me personally, I would love to know where a project, especially in the era of machine learning and automation, can drive value the most.
hmm
And that only will happen if you have more visibility across the board. Otherwise, if you're only focused on your area, that's not going to happen, especially for people like me who are coming from a very diverse background, very different industry. I think if we have more visibility, like to different project, different processes, different workload or operations, the chances that we capture where the project can generate value is much higher
Right.
than people who are like has been doing all the coding all along and they love just doing the coding.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, I think you brought up a really good point of connecting these dots, how it actually merges with the organizational vision, and that management layer will have more access or more visibility, right? So I do feel that too, like even not working as a manager, but been in a senior lead position quite a bit. And I think it's very motivating to see the end results or impact of the project at a bigger spectrum than you just doing the work items from your tax list, right? So
Yeah,
that is very,
exactly. The zero is just being assigned to you.
yeah, I know that's and
Yeah,
I do not know what this tax, where does this plug in, like so
exactly. Yeah.
everything should actually fit in a bigger picture, right? Someone is painting the picture, we don't
Yeah,
see it, but
exactly. That's why, like, a lot of time when I see the AI architecture, like, because they have more visibility of what's happening, what
yeah,
it's really interesting to me. And when I go in the same room with the architectures to decide which of these like POCs are going to create better value, I love what I see on these like flow charts and diagram they have, because they see the full picture of the work and how connecting these different dots and how the final like result is generating value is just so fascinating to me,
right, right.
because they see different pieces and they know how to connect them. Boom, the result is out there.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. So that's definitely a skill to develop, right? So
Yeah,
like how you find your team's value and core mission that actually represents or provides the bigger impact in a picture, and that's satisfying, like you said. So
yeah. It is.
so yeah, so let's cover a little bit different topic. I think this is one thing I usually cover with all of my guests, because I love how tech life has to be blend with something with our regular normal life, right? We all are busy, and there is deliverables, there is projects, sometimes it's really hard deadlines, and things can be on top of us. But then obviously we have to find some way to revive ourselves. I wanted to know, what is your thought process, or what
Yeah,
do you do to kind of like balance the work with your
exactly.
life in a way, because that's very important, because
Yeah.
without that I guess we are not moving forward.
Exactly. That's a very good question. And I find it a lot of our colleagues in this industry
Hmm.
find it really challenging to find a good work-life balance. And a
Right,
lot of time because of the deliverables in like few months back to back, we can't have any life. It's
right.
just inevitable a lot of time. But
Hmm.
I would say that when like if we don't pay enough attention to what makes us motivated or what makes us keep going in life, we lose it. If we burn out, we won't be able to continue. For me personally, if I'm getting stuck in the work back to back for a long period of time, I see that the productivity will go down. So what I try to do, I try to start my weekend from Friday way much earlier or
Hmm.
Thursday, not very heavy activities. Like for example, Thursday I try to have a meeting with a bunch of my friends, go somewhere and
Right.
have starting the thinking that the weekend is coming. I started from Thursday.
Yeah.
So, and then Friday, I try to have the another happy hour or family gathering. Saturday, Sunday, definitely is something which I take care of it, take care of my mental health. I play tennis. I play squash. And I'm a very big fan of hiking. So, like, I'm not around Saturday, Sunday, no matter what, if unless the house is on fire, basically. And you know what does it mean? It means that we have
Yes.
like
Yeah,
you're in
yeah.
trouble, team wise. You have to deliver. Then yeah, I'm on my desk. I'm doing my work, but it's not like we have the house on fire all the time. We have to enforce work-life balance. Otherwise, it's not gonna happen.
Yes.
If the house is not on fire, I'm not around,
Yes.
especially during the weekend. I try to take care of myself. My mental health is really important to me. My family is really important to me. I try to take my daily walk for sure. Like I start my day by daily walk. I go around like around the block, take the fresh air, and try to actually meditate as much as I can. Like even like 10 minutes.
Hmm.
It's highly recommended. And then every night, even for like 15 minutes, 30 minutes, you go on treadmill, you do like cardio, get it out of your system. I try not to go to the bed with that bad thing on your head.
Mm-hmm.
And I got into the habit of meditation recently. So I have it before going to the bed and starting my day. So that helps me a lot with keeping my sanity with the with the tech work and all the like bumpy news we wrote and all the sad or very scary news we see every day. So these are the things which help me actually to enforce work-life balance and take care of my mental health.
This is great. I think when you said enforce, we have to enforce, and that is absolutely important because a lot of times we kind of do not enforce, right? That's the problem. Especially when I was in my early career, I don't know what I was chasing sometimes if I feel like, right? So I was just
Yeah.
trying to learn everything, trying to do all the projects with like 200% of my performance and everything. And at some point of time, I realized that yes, I am missing out something. Like I'm not taking care of myself. My mental health is not as sound. So then I took a step back, even in my early career, and I suggest this to everyone. Like it doesn't really have to be like once you get to a certain position or in the senior level, once you prove something to your team, you should start taking care of yourself. And sometimes it's too late. You don't have to do
Yeah.
that. You can balance it out. Like you mentioned, every day is not going to be a house on fire, right? So there's going to be busy days, there's going to be less busy days. So you have to be like, I would rather see it not in a daily structure, but maybe a weekly structure or a monthly structure. So you might get busy 2 weeks in a row. It's fine. Then the other 2 weeks of that month, it's going to be light work, and you make sure you give that to your family and yourself, right? So
Exactly.
so
Exactly. If you don't enforce it, nobody is gonna stop you from working. Everybody wants more work.
yeah, yeah. The
So
more you deliver, the more expectation will grow.
yes, the Jira, the backlog in the Jira will like, keep coming.
It keep coming, it keep growing. The work is always there, no matter what,
Yeah,
right? So
exactly.
that's all. Like my managers used to say that when you are in leave, make sure you either put a do not disturb in a notification or log out of the teams. Like
Yeah.
because that is distraction, right? And then you don't want to do that. So you just enjoy your time when you
Exactly,
wanted to. So
especially with a lot of like right now working from home, remote work, we have to be really more careful because I realize that a lot of us, we have access to our work laptop, our
oh
desk,
yeah, you're right.
and we tend to work more. And that's not good for ourselves, for our family, for like, I mean, the productivity eventually will go down.
Yes, eventually will go down. You're right. Yeah. So yeah, that's another point. Good point. Like we have our office right next to our other room, and you're like, hey, I'll do that later in the evening, and then that doesn't work always. So you
Yes.
need to enforce. I think enforcing it is the right word for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So now let's come back to mentorship, right? So I'm very big support of mentoring, and I have done quite a bit of mentoring myself. And as you touched upon a little bit earlier, that you love to help folks, providing the same like very comfortable environment in a way for new hires or new employees who seem to be confused or at least have that very anxiety in them when they start, and we all have that. So what is your, like, in your own career, did you have a mentor for yourself that kind of like help you learn any important lesson that you have been carrying through you, uh and yeah, so what is your experience?
I think if I were to like be like honest with myself, the actual person who I could call mentor, not for that with that name,
Mm-hmm.
but I had people who were my colleague and who were way much senior than me,
Mm-hmm.
who I could rely on when I was in like trouble, like not trouble like trouble work-wise, like emotionally in
Yes.
trouble, like I
Right, right,
was frustrated at work or I needed to talk to someone who wouldn't report to my manager for sure.
right.
These are like the mentor. I would say that I had my colleagues who actually like would help me to manage my emotions, to manage my time, to actually like, for example, you're frustrated in a day, you ping them, hey, I'm so tired. And they were like, instead of saying that I'm tired, let's take a 10 minutes break, go for a walk and talk. So I had those type of people around me and I still have them around me. And anytime I need, I just call them and we talk about work, and how to handle emotions most of the time and what would be the next best step for us to take. That is, I think it's something which happened like in a friendship matter,
Mm-hmm.
in a friendship manner. But recently, I got myself a new mentor because I thought that if I want to move up with my career, I need somebody who's done it before,
Right.
who went through that path
Mm-hmm.
before and can lead me when I need to make the right decision or to make the right call.
Mm-hmm.
That I have it at the moment, and I believe everybody at some point in their career they need to have that type of mentor who is like giving you more challenge, asking you the right questions to put you in the right direction. That is required a lot of time if you want to like grow in your career, especially in corporate, because it's too giant, it's too big. Navigating your way won't be that easy. So having a person who can guide you through that process, I would say it's necessary.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I have my mentors, throughout, and very fortunate to have all of those mentors. And as you mentioned, I think some of them doesn't need to hold the title mentor, right?
Yeah.
Like it could be your colleagues, it could be some folks who you can uh, dial the number and chat and kind of vent out sometimes, whatever builds up the emotional stress management is very key in this role that we are in. And that's and actually, I mean, when you said you have people around you to call, I think that's always fortunate to be in
Yeah.
that situation too, right? Not everyone gets to do that either. And that's why we have to embrace the folks, colleagues around you. Try to kind of like what I do is like once initially, I mean, whenever I'm in a new team, I do not know everyone personally, but
Yeah.
once you start, engaging and all, you know how much of their nature kind of intersect with yours and how much comfortable you are with that particular person. So it kind of naturally builds,
Yeah.
and then you start feeling comfortable about sharing stuff. A good point you brought it up was that we talk about like not always work, because people think mentorship is always about building the technical skills, and
Yeah.
it's not that always, right? So as you said, you can have someone to talk through your emotional stress, whatever you have been going through at the work. Very much like doesn't really have to be like, okay, I'm working on this project, what do I need to do? I mean, that that is not for mentorship, actually, in my opinion, right? So that's actually for anyone who you can ask a senior or find the right colleague to answer that. So yeah, so that's important. Mentorship is valuable. I always preach for that.
Yeah. That's
And try to do my best. So now we want to come to the self-learning or continuous learning, right? More, we are in a field of data science, and things move fast, things change fast. That doesn't mean that we have to learn everything at the same time, but we have to make sure that at least something that is relevant to me and my work, I need to probably catch up. I need to grow that skills. If I'm not directly using right now, I might be using tomorrow. So,
yeah.
what is your perspective on that? Like, how do you find the time for learning, or how do you approach that, like continuous learning for your meeting the demands of the role?
Yeah, it's a very, very good question. And like, honestly, I find it really challenging
Mm-hmm.
because as you grow in your career, you are getting more responsibility and like putting a time aside to
Yeah.
study and keep yourself update will become a challenge for you. What I realize is that the same way as a work-life balance, I have to enforce that thing as well.
Yes.
So when I was at JP Morgan, we had a meeting with the senior leaders of our company, and I think that it was one of the like C-suite person who was giving a speech, and she told us Friday afternoon, it should be for your learning. You must manage your time in a way that you answer all the relevant questions to your business, to your project, like before that, and have that time frame for your learning, because otherwise you will end up learning during the weekend.
Right.
You'll come back to work Monday not rested, and this cycle will keep going and going and going, and you'll burn out quite
Yes.
soon and quite early. Otherwise, you build that habit of studying, for example, 2 hours throughout the week or Friday evening to be more consistent. There is no way you can catch up with the whole changes in the industry, because technology is evolving, but it's evolving like at the speed of the light. It's super fast. After ChatGPT, our life changed like immediately, like the day after. A lot of us didn't even have chance to know what is this they are talking about. We didn't even like have time to go through all the documents. So the changes around like is here. A lot of things are changing. Has like the change has started already. I think for us, the same way as work-life balance, there is no option but to enforce it and make sure that our like management, our manager, or like whomever we are reporting to for career development, they are fully aware of this fact that we need sometimes either throughout the week or a specific day during the week that we will be studying, and we will have it in our like goal for career development and have it in your like yearly review and performance, so that everybody is aware that you are working, but you're also trying not to be stale at your career. Because at the end of the day, if you don't know the recent knowledge in your field, you are will be eliminated by the same company that you are working with. So I think it's really important for us to care about our career, because we work so hard to be here where we are today, but the change is super fast. We have to somehow adjust the way we are working in order to stay up to date. Otherwise, we will be out of job because we don't know what's happening around us.
No, very good point. Again, comes back to how you plan and how you enforce, right? And I think every manager that I have worked so far, when I brought it up as a part of my one-on-one that, hey, I wanted to dedicate this time, and like you said, I think once a week, if you build a good cadence, like 2 hours every week, and you have some sort of plan or curriculum build up that you can share with the manager, this is what I wanted to learn, and this is my plan to learn and spend time, right? And to this point, I think nobody has said anything against it, right, to me. And every manager will support that because, like you mentioned, it is a part of the growth mindset. Every company should have that career development for your employee, right? And you just have to find a way to kind of fit that on your career development plan, rather than you spending your own personal time on the weekends or stuff, because
Yeah.
then, as you mentioned, it's going to start creating that ripple effect. You're going to start losing the hours of your personal time, and burning out is going to be very soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I suggest same thing, just like what you suggested. Like you need to figure out a plan, share with your manager, and then stick to that plan. And sometimes you probably have to showcase something like, hey, this is what I learned, this is a project I built. And any hands-on work you gonna do to learn something is always valuable learning, and you can share that, right? So once you start sharing some tangible things to your manager, they're like, oh yeah, he's or she is learning, so they will start supporting that more, right? So
Yeah.
all right, so we are coming pretty close to our conversation. I know every time I chat with the folks, time goes by fast.
Yeah.
Always interesting conversation. And one thing I wanted to touch upon was the advice for current job seekers. I do talk to folks regularly, on mentoring sessions, and the time is a little tough right now. The market is pretty tough, and I can feel their pain, and what is your advice, right, for someone who's looking to transition to data science career, mostly early career, like data analyst, or people from data industry trying to find a new role, or especially the new grads who is struggling the most these days, right? So,
Yeah.
any suggestions or your advices?
Yeah. It's a very tough market, and I think that unfortunately, I don't know when it's gonna get better. Hopefully soon. I'm optimistic.
Right.
But I would like to, I think, categorize the question into two parts. People
Mm-hmm.
with who are coming just graduated, but they are coming with the relevant skill set like software engineering, or those who studied computer science. They have knowledge of machine learning and like how to package the work and something which is relevant to like the work which ML engineering are doing. I would tell them that for them, the best way would be just have a GitHub
Mm-hmm.
of the project which they created and have a medium like a blog post with a bunch of visualization
Mm-hmm.
to showcase their work. In that way, they can get more attraction. A lot of traffic will go through their website and people will find them. So it would be easier for them to showcase their talent. The other thing would be people who want to switch, or like those who are actually looking for the job. A lot of positions which we see on LinkedIn are already being filled, or they are
Mm-hmm.
not valid. That's the case all the time. The only thing which I believe would help them a lot is going through their network and reach out to people. Like use LinkedIn severely as a networking website
Mm-hmm.
and try to find out people who would help them to get the referral or help them know where the networking sessions are happening. Who is in New York City, for example, is providing a networking opportunity or connecting with other people. They might not know anyone, but they may know a recruiter who is looking for similar talent. I would say they should heavily use networking on LinkedIn. That's the only option I see at the moment, and patience. Unfortunately, it's not an easy market, not only for data scientists, for everyone. A lot of companies are still trying to figure out what they want to do with all the changes which happen with the AI, and a lot of profit questions are on their table. Whether we like it or we don't like it, we as the people are being considered as cost. So it is a tough market, I would say, even for those with the job.
Yes, yes.
They have to keep their job as well. So I think the only thing which I would tell to everyone is to network and network and network as much as they can and showcase their work for those without prior experience, either in GitHub or some blog post to show like visualization, because people can interact with visualization much more easily. And the patience, things will get better soon.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it does make sense. Networking is the key. I tell all the time that is one of the suggestion I gave. Because as you mentioned, I think a lot of those jobs may be already stale, already closed, already, because it doesn't update,
Yeah.
as it updates from the company. So, and just applying on from that link, and it sometimes creates more frustration, in my opinion, because you don't start seeing the feedbacks or responses, and you tend to just count how many you applied,
Yeah.
and then you on your mind you're gonna be having that conversion rate, and it's going to be very low, and you feel frustrated, you feel depressed. I would
Yeah.
rather focus on quality than quantity of jobs being applied,
Exactly.
right? So you
I
you
think,
start
yeah.
with engaging folks. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing which came to my mind, like when you mentioned about counting quality, is the advice I got from University of Delaware career advisor.
Mm-hmm.
She told me that instead of having 100 company in mind, have 10 to 20
Yes.
company in mind and do the severe networking with 10 to 20 companies which like you have in mind, and you have people.
Yes.
And go through your network, go through the job they have, like do the like follow-ups and networking. One of these 1 out of 20 will work instead of focusing on 100 and apply
Yes.
like send a blind application, cold application. That was a very good advice, and I think that till today it works for me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a very good advice. I actually suggest the same thing to the folks. Like, pick some of the companies that is very handful that you are interested in, or like you that aligns with your goals, and then you optimize your time and resource, because you cannot just go on the burst mode, like applying everywhere, and that's not going to work out. So rather you can focus on that few handful companies, then network, right? Like you got to figure out from that company who is the recruiters. I mean, there's different way you can use a search parameter, find in LinkedIn, and then try to reach out. I think I always tell that if only 1 out of 10 will respond, that is still a win, right?
Yeah,
Because at least one responded, so I will see the positive aspect of it. So, and then you have very high chance of showcasing your skills either from portfolio like you mentioned, or even writing the blogs, Medium, Substack, wherever you want. You have to start sharing your stuff. Like,
yeah,
if you're learning something, if you're building the project skills, I tell everyone, like, create a visibility of it, right? Try to share
exactly.
it with the people. One thing, it gives you your own accountability, that you are always, like, first learning the topic before you're sharing it, because that always puts you in that position that, like, you are accountable to share to your folks or your subscribers, whatever the case is. And today we live in a world where, like, there could be someone reading someone's article somewhere, and they're
Yeah,
like, oh, this is very interesting, this is exactly something that I'm looking for in my next role, and they may reach out. And I mean, it's rare, but it has happened.
yeah,
So it is very important to share your work. So
yeah.
that's another piece. Thank you so much. I think I had a very good time talking with you. Any last minute thoughts that you wanted to share, or like, you felt like I should have touched upon, and anything that, maybe last few words
I
from your
think
side?
I think it was a very good conversation that we had, and we touched on a lot of good points, pain points of like a data science world.
Mm-hmm.
One thing which I would like to add is that a lot of people think that data science such a nice job, excellent position, very well paid. But the reality of this work is that it's extremely hard, tedious. We have to do a lot of coding, even at management level. Not only we have to know what's happening within the code and assign tasks to the right group of people, but the architecture and deployment is a challenge, and we have to work on that aspect of the work as well. It's not an easy job. So if you want to join the crew, join the club, join it with your eyes open. Maybe it's not really something which you want to do with your career, because it's not an easy task,
Yes.
especially these days, when like the more like you grow in your career, the more you realize that the hype of AI is here. Like everybody is talking about AI, machine learning, robots are taking over, but still within the companies we see that these job capabilities of this job, responsibilities of people who are data scientists hasn't been clarified to a lot of people yet.
Mm-hmm.
You are still like assigning a lot of data scientist people to irrelevant tasks.
Yeah, you're right.
That makes it hard for people in my field to actually stay true to their brand. So I would say that it's not an easy job category. It's very hard, and like the way software engineering like became full stack software engineer, the same concept is being forced to data science people to be the full stack data science, meaning that the whole deployment process need to be done one by one person as well. And I've seen it quite a few times. It's just coming to my like feeds that I see these things is happening. So I would say to everyone who would be interested in this field, if you are interested in data science or machine learning area, pick these positions, pick this role with your eyes open so that later down the road, you don't have to regret and you don't
Right.
have to tell yourself that, you know what, if I was in a dashboarding side inside, my life would have been easier. If I was a data engineer, I would have a very much easier job because I would just create a bunch of pipeline and I would be fine. So open your eyes, keep your eyes open when you are making the career decision because it's gonna change your life for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's actually a great closing remarks. Thank you for adding that. I do totally agree because you have to join or come to this club, like you mentioned, with the right expectation, right? People think that it's always, like you mentioned, it's not the one of the sexiest title. It's just exists in the article and blog. So
Yeah.
you're gonna be working with a lot of data cleaning. The other challenge is the projects are 99% times it's unclear, very ambiguous. And that 1% value you will produce from data science is extremely impactful, but you have to be also ready to accept that some of the POCs got dropped down, some of the projects just ended up being an analysis, some of the things that you did just ended up being a notebook exploration work. So it's going to happen, right? So you have to, like you said, come with your eyes open, right? So right expectations. So that's always the key.
Exactly. Exactly.
Uh, yeah, thank you so much. I think it's extremely valuable conversation. I
Thank
enjoyed
you
it.
for inviting me. I really enjoyed our conversation and I hope the audience, like we managed to share a lot of good point to the audience.
Yes,
And as I mentioned, if they feel that I will be at help, just feel free to reach out. I will be happy to refer them to the company and we'll see where we can be helpful at the new generation.
awesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you for touching that, like open for help, right? So that's also important. So I'll definitely share your LinkedIn information below my recording once this goes live. So thank you again for your time today, and yeah,
Please.
enjoy your weekend, and we'll catch up sometime again. Thank you.
Definitely enjoy your weekend as well. Have a good day.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.